Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Chess Not Checkers podcast. Today we have a guest host, and that's me, Pete Schwartz. And Shane Jenkins is in Ruidoso, New Mexico. And I would like to let everybody know that I'm trying to take over for him. I don't think I can do quite as good of a job as he does, but this man is taking care of some business, something that's very important to him, something very personal. And I hope everybody can have a little respect for that. He is taking care of his mother's ashes. It's a beautiful thing. He's in a beautiful place. And I feel like maybe Shane could tell us, but I feel like he's gotten a little closer to God on this experience. So,
I
Shane, you
thought
want to
you
tell us a
all,
little about that?
Pete. You almost said he's a beautiful man. I feel like you were so close. It was beautiful, beautiful, and then it was like he's a nice guy. No, I am here. I promised my mom before she passed away that I would sprinkle her ashes in the mountains, and so it's something that I got to do with both of my sons. I'm also drinking a
Uh-oh.
tasty beverage, so.
Oh, this guy drinks the
For all
beer.
the judges out there, please judge me based upon my beverage. Miller Lite is not Bud Light, but it is a beer. So, and I am drinking.
All
So,
the race car drivers drink Miller Lite. That's
and
good.
I cheersed last night to everybody, and it was always about promises made, promises kept. I promised my mom many, many years ago that I would take her ashes up on. You can't really see it from here, but the mountain behind me is Sierra Blanca. It's a like 12,500 foot mountain peak behind me. And I did that yesterday, and I took my 25-year-old and my 17-year-old son, and we went and we sprinkled my mom's ashes. And man, you couldn't have picked a more picturesque, more beautiful place. There was like these purple flowers out there. There was these little bitty yellow flower. It was phenomenal. I feel like my chair is sinking down on the ground. Anyways, it was just a phenomenal time, and I just would encourage people, like, if you know I was talking to a guy earlier, and his wife got diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer, and he's like, her dream was to get in the RV and just to travel the country, and he did it. And I said, how was that? Like, how hard was that to know that she was going to die, but to know that you were also at the same time fulfilling her dream? And so I think about my mom, and she did so much for me, man. She was a wonderful woman. I was a redheaded little baby, and so she dyed her hair red to match me, so I wouldn't feel left out, so I would look like mama. And so I just think about the little things that she did. Her license plate was two reds. It was her and me. We were both the two reds. And so um, it's a chapter close. I will never forget mom. And I know, Pete, I know you love your mom and dad very much, and they're still living. And that's why I always tell you, like, hug mom and dad, dude, because they're not here forever, but they are to be cherished and loved and respected. And I'm thankful that you're actually at home in Houston and hosting the show. So thank you for having me on, bro.
Absolutely. Welcome to your own show. But I would like to say, I mean, on a serious note, I mean, this is an important thing that what you're doing. And so, like, I've known you for a long time. I know you very well. We've become close friends over these years. And one of the things that I've known about you is you do have a love for everybody that I admire. I hope I aspire to be like that. But you have a very special place in your heart for your mom. It's incredible. It's heartwarming. And after what we've been through, this is us rebuilding our lives. This is us carrying on and trying to integrate into society. This is us trying to be the humans. I mean, we're Jan Sixers, but I'm Pete, you're Shane, so
Trying to find normal per se, right?
it's a hard balance, and I mean, like, I've spent a lot of times, I've gone through a lot of battles because I would like to use my platform to educate people. Sometimes people care what I have to say, sometimes they don't. But ultimately, before all this, I was Pete Schwartz. I was a welder. You know what I mean? I'm a fairly average guy. You know what I mean? I've had my problems in the past, and I'm sure a lot of people have. You have as well. But we still are ourselves at the end of it all. And so, like, after the pardons, a lot of people are talking about lawsuits and money and stuff, and that's fantastic. But we still are ourselves. We still have our families. We still have the people we love. We still have a lot of other issues outside of one day in our lives, And so hearing you do this and seeing you do this, I'm proud of you. I mean, absolutely. I mean, You've been a mentor to me.
That means like so much to me, Pete. Bro, when I when I look at this computer and I see you, I love you, bro. You're literally in my house. You're always welcome wherever I am, Pete. And some people might be like, "Look at asshole Pete on, on this podcast or whatever." Look
Right.
at Pete.
Well, it's a true story, and a lot of people know me in that fashion, right? So for me to say that I consider you a mentor, maybe the
That's
public
a
watching
lot.
this doesn't understand Pete, right? I am fiercely independent. I don't like to admit, that there's something I can't do, which there's not much I can't do, but whatever. I'm just kidding. But honestly, I don't like to, unless somebody has earned my respect, I would not give it to them. You know what I mean?
That's
Because I feel like we earn our way in life. We're men. We have to earn that respect. We have to pay our dues and this and that. And you have earned my respect to the utmost. And that's a high compliment. And so you
It is.
understand.
I do understand that. And coming from you, like I was telling my friend earlier about you, like you weren't the easiest person to get along with in the DC Gulag, Pete. You might not know that. You probably do know that.
Oh, I do know that.
And I'm not always easy to get along with, but that's what I was telling my friend earlier. I said, you know what? Like, I feel like the hard days, like us fighting, whatever it was, the drinking, fighting, loving, hating, punching, whatever it is, like we had some rough days, right?
Absolutely.
But I feel like God was cultivating the soul of our hearts. And our relationship is like just now starting to bear fruit, bro, because we are getting our lives back. And yeah, lawsuits would be great. Suing the federal government sounds awesome and making a bunch of money, but that's not what this is about. That's not what we're about. Like you're working, man. You're a welder. I'm an oil field guy. Like I'm not a fucking podcaster. I don't do podcasts. Like I don't do media. I don't do social media. I don't do any of that. But like I feel like God called us to this ministry to do these things because we were the few that saw the stolen election and we were willing. We didn't go to overthrow the government, but we chose to stand up. We chose to lead like the men we are, like the man I know you are. And we chose to walk according to, I believe, what God's purpose was for this nation. And I just think there's something to be said, whether it's right, whether it's wrong. Sometimes, like standing up is not easy. It's a sacrifice. And if Jesus taught me anything, it's laying down your life for the next man is the most valuable, most precious sacrifice that I can do for anybody. And I don't want to go back to jail, but I would for you and for every left-leaning liberal, progressive, whatever. I would do it for them too, for their First Amendment right, for their Second Amendment right, for not for open borders or transgender ideology, but for anything that's constitutional. For them to be gay all they want, I don't care. I will stand up for you because that's what America is about. It's about being defiant. It's about being resistant to being controlled by these elites and by this government. So I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to call you my friend. I'm honored to call you my brother. I'm honored to call you my brother in Christ, man. And it makes me so happy. I can't wait to get home and give you a big old hug, dude.
We operate under God's law, and sometimes to the general public, sometimes that's not pretty, because it looks like you're bucking the system and this and that, but you have to draw the line at some point. You know what I mean? And like, so I drew the line at the masks. Everybody has a different line they drew, and I decided when the COVID hit and they wanted me to wear a mask, I felt like that was a visual compliance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Emasculation.
And like one of my pastors always said is it kills your witness, like do you stand for God? And if you're complying and you're bowing down and you're showing weakness, maybe you don't, So for me, that was where I drew the line, and I'm not claiming to be the best Christian ever walking the face of the earth. I'm weak. I'm struggling. I fall every day. I ask God to pick me back up,
That's right. But you get back up. That's the main thing, bro.
That's right. And I'm more accountable than other people. I know the Bible fairly well, right? And so I know better. I know what's right. I know what's wrong. You know what I mean? And I felt like this whole January 6th thing, it's government conspiracy, it's entrapment, all that, right? But I felt like I had prayed for God to give me a chance to make up for all my failures.
Yeah.
And be a witness to somebody, right? and I joke about this a lot, but I said I couldn't even get my wife to listen to me before this, you know.
Right.
Now millions of people listen to me, you know.
Yeah.
It's incredible, you know.
Yeah.
So this is my opportunity. This is my time to shine, and people aren't going to
That's
like
right.
what I have to say, you know. They're not
I
going to
don't.
like. They're not going to like what you have to say, you know.
I don't think it's an accident that we have like you. I don't know more people that know have read the Bible probably more times or more of the contextual like premise of the Bible or the whole get the whole story, the beginning from the end, but the whole beginning points to the end, which is Christ and him coming back. And shout out to Maurice, shout out to you, Pete, because you guys are Bible knowers. You spend time in the Word of God. You understand the Word of God, and there is power in the Word. He is the Word, right? And so I think that that's vitally important to just basic common sense, like American values, understanding the way the world operates, and just gender roles, relationship roles. Like if if you're not a believer in Jesus Christ, I encourage you to read Proverbs. Read one proverb a day for a month, and just it's wisdom. It's a lot of Solomon, a lot of David, but
And there is 30 of them, so that
it
does
is.
coincide with a month.
There you go. I ain't no mathematologist, but
Right.
sometimes I get it. But no, so what do you? I'm going back to the podcast thing. What do you think about what is going on with like Epstein, Pam Bondi, Castrotel, Dan Bongino? And I just want give me a hot take, Pete, right now. Go.
Okay, so I'm going to reserve opinion on this, and this is why. Because every time something comes out in the news, we know one thing for certain: the media lies.
That's
So
right.
it looks like a hot mess at the beginning. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
every time everybody's like, "Oh, Trump has done something horrible," right? And then
Yep.
a month or two later, the truth starts trickling out, and it wasn't what you thought. And I don't want to be the fool that makes a rash statement. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I'm going to hold my judgment on this one until I learn more about it, because I know the media lies about everything, both sides.
No,
And
for sure.
like,
Well, I don't think Dan Bongino left his podcasting, and he's making I forget it was like $4 or $5 million a year doing his show and doing. He had a really good show, and I believe he's a believer and he's a man of his word. And so I don't think like when they were talking about this weekend, like he was willing to step down if Pam Bondi didn't step down or was fired or was willing to correct the Epstein deal. You can't tell me that Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for sex trafficking and all that other stuff, and Epstein was in prison looking at life or whatever. If he didn't do anything wrong, like
right,
if there was no sex traffic, there was no list,
no
there was
victims,
nobody
no
to
crime.
traffic. Right. So why would you kill yourself?
Well,
And
when I was in USP Atwater, right, I had come from USP Canaan, because I was in the penitentiaries in the prison, which are horrible. And
horrific.
my reputation preceded me. So
That's right.
everybody was very welcoming of me when I showed up out in California at USP Atwater, and they said I
Yep.
could choose my own cellmate, right? So I chose a guy by the name of Nick Tartaglione, and this guy is telling me a fantastic story. He's telling me that he's talking to Donald Trump Jr., that he has reporters following his case. He had 4 life sentences. He was a former cop and a made man in the mob in New York, and he was Epstein's cellmate.
Wow.
So he starts telling me about how the first time they tried to off Epstein, they tried to blame him, and they said that he tried to hang him from his sheets, right? And
What?
yeah,
Hold
and
on a second. So you're saying Nick Tartaglione, they tried to set him up to take the fall for the first time Epstein tried to kill himself.
absolutely.
You heard it here first on Chestnut Checkers.
And anybody's welcome to Google Nick Tartaglione, and this is within the first 2 or 3 results that's going to pop up about him. This is absolutely a true story. And Nick was a pretty decent guy, you know, and
Yeah.
he wanted to platform his popularity that he had with the reporters on my January 6th case, because he's like,
Right.
this is how corrupt the government is, right?
Right.
And shortly after that, before I moved into the cell with him, he was a hit. They hit him in prison, and they
When you
brutally
say
hurt this
hit,
man.
you mean they try to kill him?
They stabbed this man for 15 minutes straight in his eyeballs and everything, and they had to life flight him out of this prison. It's a brutal, disgusting story. I don't care what you did, you don't deserve that. The man was a
What
nice
is it
man.
like? What is it like watching that, bro? Like, how hard is that?
Why would they put that?
It could be you, right?
Any day, any given day. The penitentiaries are rough, you know. And every day, like if you talk to people too much, they think you're plotting. If you don't talk to people enough, they say you're better than everybody, you know. So you're in,
It's a fine balance,
right.
Like,
It's a dangerous place. And like in the penitentiaries, the only higher level of security is the ADX, which is like 5 to 15 years of solitary confinement. So a lot of these guys that have been living through this, it's stressful. It was stressful to me, right? So they get to go and be in solitary confinement, and they're in no danger of being stabbed, and they have a TV in their cell, right? So some of these guys come out of the ADX, they get put in these penitentiaries, the ones I was at. They're looking to go back, and they're not looking to do something to somebody who did them wrong.
right?
They're looking for the guy who's not aware, the weak one, you know?
Yeah.
And they will kill somebody. You walk around the wrong corner, you're going to get stabbed to death, you know?
Or you say the wrong thing, or you scuff somebody's tennis shoe, or you sit at the wrong table, or you talk to somebody who's bad or whatever. Yeah.
That's right. It's a dangerous place. And I mean, that wears you out, you know? I mean, like day in, day out, from the moment you wake up, are you the one on the hit list today? You know?
You're saying all this, and you're taking me back to like Pollock. I've showed I think it was last week, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I did no, I was on Liberty's Cage. So I co-host another podcast called Liberty's Cage, with Sarah McAbee. But I got a video. Somebody sent me a video from Pollock Medium, and they had a riot. It was the Pisces and the White Boys, and they had a riot on the rec yard. They were stabbing the shit out of each other. The cops ran in there shooting tear gas and doing all that stuff, made everybody get on the ground and all that. But like, how, like, when you're talking about it, like, it's like I'm not sweating, but I feel like you know what it's like to be in those day rooms, to be in those chow halls when you know something's about to pop off, or you know somebody's fixing to get hit, because everybody knows somebody's getting hit except for the person, because they'll be like, look, hey, everybody, like the Mexicans are going to hit somebody, so don't take your drugs to chow hall today, because if you do, they're going to run down on everybody. Everybody's going to get strip searched, and they're going to find the drugs on you. So just out of respect for y'all, don't bring we're
Right.
doing something today, so just be careful.
Or if you bump into somebody in the car that's doing the hit, now your whole car's in it. And there's 22 people in the day room stabbing it out, you know? And if you're in the shower naked and you don't come out and help your car,
that's right.
You're next on the hit list.
And when he says your car, he's talking about like you like, so I'd never seen anything like it. I've done state time in Texas before, but in federal prison, when you say a car, basically like they'll classify you based upon your race or your locale, where you're from. So like I'm a white guy. I was from Texas, so typically there's a Texas car. Typically, because Texas is such a big state, and there's so many people here. There's typically a Texas car everywhere, right? Or you'll be in the white boy car, or you know what I mean, whatever it was. And so there'll be like the South car, which could be any given race, but they're from the South,
right?
Or it could be the Northeast, New Jersey, New York car, or whatever it is. You got the Paisas, which are all from Mexico. You've got all different kinds.
Serenos, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And like when I walked in, they asked me, "Who do you run with?" Right? And I'm like, "Nobody." And they said, "So you're white, right?" And I said, "Very obviously, you know." And they're like, "You're independent?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm independent. I'm not affiliated with anybody." You know?
Yeah. So that's a good thing, right? Yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize I just joined the most violent gang in the BOP. You know. Like they are the most feared in there, right?
Except you're independent, but you are dependent upon the gang, which is crazy.
It is, and they explain it well, and it sounds great when you walk in, you know, because they're like, "Look, you're the minority, and we have to help each other to survive." You know,
yeah,
that is not the truth. They are they are the instigators. They are the most violent. They are killers.
Harder on our own people than they are on anybody else.
Absolutely.
They'll give
I mean,
somebody else a pass from another car, but they'll stab somebody to death in front of everybody else just to make an example out of them
the only people you
from
have to
their
fear
own
is the
car.
people in your car, right?
Yeah.
If you see 3 white guys in the penitentiary walking together, something's going down. I mean, very violent, you know, like even before the pardons, right? They have a 3 stabbing per day rule in the penitentiary. So 3 stabbings is okay.
Hold on a second. The 3 are okay.
Yes.
Like you're talking about a piece of steel going into somebody's, piercing their flesh, stabbing down to bone, stabbing their intestines, stabbing their eyeballs.
Absolutely. The guards.
That's acceptable. 3.
It is. The guards are in on it. You know, every other week, every other Thursday, they send 2 buses of people, and there's 40 people per bus. And they know these people have bad paperwork. They're either pedophiles or snitches. And they know that within 24 hours, these people are going to be stabbed up, life flighted out, whatever happens to them, you know? And it's a game to them, you know? It's a sick game, but they like it, you know?
It's what I call, it's a legal technical term, which I call deliberate indifference. They could give a damn. Like I watched a guy get beat to death and choked to death by a silly. Like, and then 90 days later, I watched somebody overdose on fentanyl, and they wheel these dead bodies out of these prisons. And it was like 2 or 3 hours, and we go get locked in our cells for this. And then they let us out. And I was like, what if it was me on that stretcher right there?
Right.
What if it was me? And they do not give a rat's ass or a damn about anybody in there. And so you were talking about the condition of like the PTSD that these people are going through, like the situations that they're living through. How do you think we are preparing these men to re-enter society by putting them in a fucking war zone in these prisons, looking over their shoulder every 5 minutes, wondering if I'm the man on the hit list or if I'm next or whatever? How do you think that conditions them to get out and be productive members of society?
They're creating killers, you know, because all these guys know is this, you know what I mean? They don't have job skills. You know, they don't have life. Nobody cares about them by this point, you know? So the only thing they know is to get out and like somebody says something that's normal to us, right? Because even though we've done the time, you and I are both civilians, you know? We can shake hands with people. We can say hi to people without suspecting that they need stabbed, you know?
Right.
But these people don't see it that way, you know? And the worst is it's a bizarro world. So morals are upside down. You go in there,
right?
The guy with the most time has the most respect. No, that's the guy who screwed his life up the worst, you know? That's the last person you want to listen to, you know?
We're going to give you control of this car right here. You're driving the car, and we're with you on this ride.
Right. And 60% of these people have 1 life sentence at least, you know? My cellmate had 4 life sentences plus 65 years. He has nothing to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
how do you feel sleeping with that dude in your cell at night? Like,
it creeps me out. You know what I mean? Because he was passive to my face, but I'm going to get out. And he's jealous of that, you know?
Yeah.
I ended up being friends with him, and he still calls me from the penitentiary, you know?
Yeah.
And I try to talk to him when I'm able to, but it's so depressing, you know?
There's a weight. Like I've done prison ministry, and when I go into that prison, when I just walk through those gates, I feel like the despair, like the hopelessness, like the just demonic death that resides over that place. And I feel it like it's like a blanket that lays over you. And as you're telling me these stories, it's taking me back to to prisons that I was in, and I'm just like, bro, I'm so fucking glad we're not there anymore. I'm glad you're free, Pete.
Evil prevails in those places, you know? I mean, like, if you do something like solid, like say that somebody doesn't deserve to get stabbed, right? And you take up for them, you're the next on the hit list, you know?
This guy's problematic.
Yeah. It's terrible, you know? I mean, and in some ways, you know, I feel like there's a couple situations and I didn't want to die. You know, maybe I question my own morals that I should have stood up for a couple different people in a couple different times. You know what I mean?
And you have, because you have, so at that point, you have to, um, either you co-sign it and you agree with it, or like you said, or you're next.
Every
And
time.
so you have to just, sometimes you just got to be like, well, fuck that dude. Like, I don't know that dude. Where's he from? He's from fucking Minnesota. I don't know. I don't like people from Minnesota anyways. However, you have to justify it in your mind.
Which is
You just,
still wrong, you know? Like,
absolutely.
I did the interview on the Gateway Pundit, which was what got me transferred to USB Atwater. And I was talking about, I realized something about myself because I was watching a guy get his eyeballs stabbed out, right? At the chow hall. And I didn't stop eating. And I'm like, this has become so normal to me that I don't care. Or I do care, but I should care more, you know? I should
It was
jump up.
hamburger day, though. You couldn't stop eating that burger. And how fucked up is that? You're watching somebody get their face stabbed off, and you're like, I've got to eat this hamburger. Like, I think that's the definition of insanity. And I see you hurting right now. I'm looking at you and I see you hurting. Pete, I love you, bro. Like, I know this
That's
is
guilt.
hard.
I should have took the stabbing with him. You know what I mean? Because that guy has a mother. He has a sister. He has a family. You know what I mean? And whatever choices he made, young and dumb, I don't know. Maybe I don't agree with the choices.
Yeah.
But that man has a family that loves him. You know what I mean? And I'm ashamed of myself for not getting stabbed with him, you know?
But
I
at the
should have
end of the
done
day, if you would have got stabbed with him, like, it wouldn't have meant a hill of beans to anybody. It wouldn't have meant shit to the guards. It wouldn't have meant shit to the independents. It wouldn't have meant shit, to the mob, to the police, whoever it was. Nobody would have gave a damn. That's the sad part. That's what makes me passionate about prison reform is, like, nobody gives a fuck about those people. And it reminds me of when Jesus said, like, and I don't remember what the verse is. I always butchered this, but he talks about, he's like, well, if you came to see me in prison, and he's like, well, you weren't ever in prison, Jesus. We never came to see you. It's like, no, but you went and saw other people. And he said, if you did it under the least of them, you did it under me. And it's like, I know those people, like you said, they have moms, they have sisters, they have daughters, they have children, they have a future, they have hope, they have a life. Some people may not be getting out, but they still have value to society. And I just think that there is so much more as a community, as a country, as a nation, as a republic, as human beings, as Christians, as men, as family members, that we can serve these people, that we can love them, and we can do better for them. And by doing better for them, it's going to be a ripple effect. If I serve you properly as a mentor, as a man, as a friend, as a brother, and then you go home and you pour that out on your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your mom, your dad, whoever, then how much better is society? How much more love will there be in the world? And it's almost like this love multiplier. I know it's probably stupid,
It's
but
not
it's
though.
like
I agree.
it is.
If each one of us loved our neighbor and that their neighbor loved their neighbor, the world would be a beautiful place, you know?
That's right.
All it
That is
takes
right.
is keeping it local, keeping it to the people, you know? And I'm weak in this area. Like I am. It doesn't come naturally to me, you know? But I'm working on it, right?
I love you, Pete, dude. You're good, man.
You've taught me a lot, Shane. You've taught me how to be good to people that don't necessarily deserve it. And God called us to not decide who needs to be.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's not my place to say who needs kindness, you know?
That's right.
Who am I?
That's
you know?
right.
I'm not a good person, you know?
He died for them too.
Right. Maybe more so than me, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I have knowledge that I waste, you know? It's a bad place to be in. So you've taught me a lot and I appreciate it. I feel like maybe if this is a fair assessment, I feel like I might have a little more biblical knowledge of the Bible, right?
Yeah.
But you have the action of it.
Man.
And that's important, you know? Because me knowing the Bible really well is really it's myself trying to save myself. Like I can save myself because I can learn the Bible better, you know? And it's not doing it by kindness, you know?
Oh, I love you, bro. You can't see it right now, but bro, you, I can't wait to give you a fucking hug tomorrow. You,
I'm pretty
and
skinny. Don't
bro,
hurt
I'm fat chained still, so um, no, man. So I think that it's like, can I understand this book and what it says, right? Or can I apply what this book says to my life, right? Like, and Jesus said, he's like, what are the two most? They're like, what's the most important commandment?
me. Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah, that's right, and that is the challenge, and I fail at it, bro. Like I suck at it, but I am by nature. I'm friendly, I'm sociable, I love people. And the people that I'm attracted to the most in prison is the crotchety, angry, grumpy, fucking old fart. Like, you know what I mean? Like
I take
that's
that personal, but okay.
turd sniffers. I don't know what your cup says.
I think it does.
That's my cup, by the way.
Change the turd sniffer.
But those are the people I'm drawn to because they have you're hey, just being honest, you're prickly. You're like grabbing a cactus. Like you are, and but that's what I love about you. Like I appreciate your standoffishness. I appreciate you putting up these walls and these barricades and like pushing me away and pushing people away. But that's the beauty of life. Like I get to choose my friends. I get to choose the people that I care about. I get to choose the ones that I love. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the challenge that your relationship with me caused because it helps me grow. Like I know, bro, I'm fucked up. I've been drinking. I've been out here crying over my mom and all these fucking things. Like I couldn't ask for a more beautiful place. I got to be out here with my sons. It has been an emotional challenge. This has been an emotional roller coaster, and I hear the pain and the hurt in your voice, and I hear these things you went through in prison, and nobody should fucking have to go through that. And when I say that, I mean not just a January Sixer, not just a white guy, not just Pete Schwartz because you're my friend. I mean it because we are hurting people that we're going to put back into society. And what do hurt people do?
Hurt people,
They
hurt people.
they hurt people. That's right. And so when you condition somebody to be in this high stress, high intensity, um, PTSD-esque environment, what do you think they're gonna when they get under strain in the free world, whenever they lose their job, when their wife leaves them, when their girlfriend has too much to drink and smacks them upside the head unwarranted, what are they
Right.
gonna do? Like, oh, you think I'm some kind of hoe, or you think, well, I'm gonna go out here and get it how I live. I'm gonna just how I did it in the streets. That's what I'm gonna do. And they're gonna go back out there and they're gonna recommit. They're gonna get in trouble. They're gonna be back in prison. They're gonna spend life in jail. And so these are things we have got to see the humanity in people. We have to love these men and women behind bars. We've got to do the right thing. We have, and not because it's the right thing to do. It's because it's what Jesus said to do. Love your neighbor like yourself. It didn't say only love the neighbor on this side because he's a nice guy and he waves at you every morning.
That's right.
Don't love the neighbor over here because he's a butthole and he doesn't take it. He throws trash out in the front yard and does his dog poops in your front yard every day. Like love him more probably than you love this one over here, right? So it's like it's very cut and dry. Like it's very simple.
You're 100% right. And like you and I are good examples, right? Because we were headed down those paths. Both of us were, like
Mhm.
as a man, I don't know how to show any emotion except anger,
You're right.
If I'm sad, I'm mad. You know what I mean? And
If you're hurt, you're mad.
right. I mean, that's how I know how
If
to
I'm
manage
depressed,
it.
I'm mad.
But there's a lot of jail sentences in that,
Yeah, that's right.
And the only thing that separated us from the rest of those people, like you're talking about, is Jesus Christ. That's the only difference, because I know that I'm looking at eternity now, revenge gets nothing for me, revenge hurts me,
Yeah.
because I'm sitting
It's
in
that
prison.
poison is it that poison you're drinking trying to hurt somebody? Is that resentment? Is that what it is? Like where you're trying to, I hate you so much, I'm going to drink this poison to hurt
That's
you.
right. You remember I always said the saying that I said that bitterness and resentment is equivalent of drinking poison and hoping the other person dies from it.
That's it. That's very simple.
They don't even know you're mad, you know? You're in jail suffering, you know? Your broken nose healed back up, you know? They're with their wife, their kids, you know?
Yeah.
And what did I get, you know? Nothing.
Death.
Right. That is what it is.
Eternity.
Separation from God, right? And I feel like, you know, we joke around a lot, but this really is serious, you know, because our eternity is the only thing that matters, you know? Because this life is the blink of an eye.
That's right.
And about the drinking and stuff, you were a little hard on yourself. They called Jesus a wine bibber, you know?
They did. Our Savior turned, hold on, let's just be clear. Let's clarify this. He turned water into wine. And I'm not saying, I am saying, like, that I'll just leave that there. That's all I'm going to say.
Most people would agree that drunkenness is wrong, but drinking itself is not, you know? So
Right.
The only issue I think there is with drinking alcohol is if it kills your witness.
That's
like
right.
If it gives somebody a reason to say, oh, this
Yeah.
guy's not a good Christian, you know?
Yeah. See, that's what Christians do.
Right. But you're drinking beer and talking about Jesus. So let people judge and let God judge them.
Can I share a story from I'm at the end of the Mountain Gods. Shout out to my Mescalero Apache friends. My friend, former president of the Mescalero Apache tribe, Robert Aguilar. I got to see him at a wedding. I got to go to the casino. I won a bunch of money playing roulette. I don't play roulette or shoot dice or do anything. Did both of those things the other night, but I ran across these young men and shared my January 6th story, shared kind of my struggle, like how life has been very difficult for me emotionally, mentally as of late. And then the weight of taking my mom's ashes up the mountain. And they hung out, they listened to everything I said, and then they were like, hey man, do you care if we pray with you?
That's beautiful.
I was like,
that's beautiful.
Do I care? Absolutely. I would love for y'all to pray with me. And so we circled up in the casino, drinks in hand, and prayed together, man. I'm gonna try to do some research by the t-shirts they had on. I think they go to a college in Texas, but a bunch of good-looking young men, dude, like just men, like being men, and like, bro, I got to pray on the mountaintop.
That's beautiful.
I got to pray on the mountaintop with my mom's ashes and my son's there. Like I could not ask for more from God. I don't know where I've been telling people, like, so I've been fighting to find normal. Like and I was suicidal when I first got out. I was like, it was just like I kept saying, like, God, if I can't be normal, I don't want to be here. I don't want to I don't want to continue to live. If I cannot feel normal in my heart, I don't want to live. And I talked to a man who does leadership, who leads pastors in leadership. And he said, Shane, he said, the enemy, the devil, has this idol, and it's called normal, on your heart, right? It's sitting up there, and you're in pursuit of it. And it's unattainable. It's not even possible. Because first of all, if you look at the story of Shane Jenkins, my life is anything but normal, right? Killed my stepdad when I was 20, found out I was adopted when I was 13, went through this whole dark, like, identity crisis as a very, very young, immature man. Dealt with the grief and guilt of killing my stepdad, a man who I lived with for a year. And then you got January 6th, so I'm far from normal.
That's right.
And so I was thinking of, and God's been kind of cultivating this in my heart. And I was thinking about the Israelites. And they're in Egypt, right? And God frees them from Egypt, right? And where's he take them? To the desert, right?
That's right.
And
Wilderness.
And what do they have the wilderness? What do they eat for 40 years, was it? I think. Manna,
right? From God.
And yeah, from God. Food from the hand of God to my mouth, right? And they're like, well, I wish I was eating steak and taters in Egypt in slavery over here. I wish I was in bondage. And God's like, I can just hear God thinking, like, I'm taking you to the land of milk and honey, and you guys want some protein and some carbs, steak and taters, right?
Right.
You're tired of hand or food from the hand of God, but you want to go back to bondage to do that. And I feel like God is calling us. He's calling me. He's calling you. He's calling Maurice out of the boat, which is Egypt. And he's calling us to walk on water. He's like, think more of yourself than you do, and think of you like I think of you. It's like, walk on this water with me. Trust me to get out of the boat. Trust me to take you out of Egypt into the land of milk and honey. And that's just like where God has my heart at. And I know now that my life will never be the same again. I will never stop fighting and standing up for what is right. And I will never shut my mouth. They'll have to kill me to shut my mouth. But this is what God is calling me to, is the new normal, which is walking with him on the water. And I know you can appreciate that, because that's
Right.
something that's been like pulling on my heart, man.
Our normal is not God's normal, you know, because
That's right.
there is no normal except for God's plan, you know. And like, even leading up to January 6th,
Yeah.
when I was asking God to let me speak on his behalf, I didn't think it included a prison sentence, you know. I was just hoping I could get
Just throw some prison
show.
and throw some federal penitentiaries in there if you can, a little bit. God, just like
right, but God has his plan, and that is what it is. I needed humbled, you know, and I feel like I have come out more humble,
bro,
closer to God.
Can I cheer for you for a second? I just wanted to say that, like, they're like, Pete wasn't easy to get along with in jail, and people know that. If they followed the Dix community or the DC Gulag, they know that. But I'm also like, I'm not. There's probably not another January 6th that I'm more proud of, that I am cheering for, that I'm thankful to see, like, your pursuit of happiness, your joy, your pursuit of God, like your love, like you have grown so much, bro. And I am, from one man, from a manly man to another manly man, like I fucking love you, dude. And I am cheering for you, and I will never, I'll never give up on you. I will love you. Even if you punch me in the face, I'm going to give you a big old hug, because you're my boy, and I'm cheering for your life and for what God is doing in your life.
Back in jail, I may have, right? But, you know, now that I've gotten out and I'm a lot wiser, right? But some of the things, this is why you should do right. Some of the things that you did that I've still like, Shane, bro, you're wrong. You know what I mean? And I'd come at you kind of hard, you know? And then I'd sit back and think on it, you know? And later on, I respect that, you know? So just because you did something and you don't get the immediate gratification, doesn't mean that you should do the wrong thing. You know what I mean? You did the right thing.
For sure.
It influenced me. I mean,
it's hard. It's hard sometimes making and I felt called to be a leader in there, and I wouldn't place that mantle on my back or that blanket on my, you know what I mean? I don't do that lightly.
That's what I was hard on you about.
I was trying to navigate through, like, what's the best thing we can do for everybody? Like, how can I love Pete? How can I love Jake Lang? How can I love Tim Hale? How can I love Jeffrey McKillop? How can I, you know what I mean? All these different egos and personas that people that I don't necessarily get along with or agree with or whatever. But I felt like I had the, what is that called? I had the con. I'm steering the ship. I felt like I'm trying to control the narrative and do the best thing I can and love everybody the way, like, and be a friend to you, be a friend to them, and be, you know what I mean, and try to maneuver through these relationships as a man, and it's difficult, bro, and it's not pretty, and it's like you're gonna be like, you're an idiot, you fell for fake Lang or whatever, right? Like, and
well, you remember I was always saying, I'm like, you're doing the cops' work. I'm like,
you fucking fed.
Yeah, right. You're the enemy. You know what I mean? And
you fed or what?
that was my claim to fame, right? I called everybody fed. So
Fed.
I was right a lot, though.
Can I give you a side note real quick?
Yeah.
We were at Bart's funeral. We all went to a restaurant. All the January 6 people that we went to the funeral and all that, and Paul Bears and all that. And Jake Lang was like, basically like, ting ting ting, like, can I say something? And he was like, wah, 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 whatever. And I was like, fed, 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 fed,
Right.
fed. Everybody. That's all. That was the story, but I just
Everybody
thought it
join
was
in
funny. Yeah.
as they should, as they should.
if you know, you know, right? That's what they say. If you know,
That's
you
right.
know.
We lived with these people for 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and so it's one thing to show up on social media and say that you were the leader, you were the Christian that guided us poor souls that are twice their age
Those poor
through
lost
this.
men.
Right. But we know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We know the lies that were told. We know that stuff, So, I've made a point since I've been out to not slander people,
Yeah.
even if I know they're fraudulent. I don't feel like anybody ever looks good making somebody else look bad.
They
And
don't ever.
I'm standing on that, So I'll talk to you about it in private,
Yeah.
I'll talk to Tim, I mean, there's people I will talk to about this, but I'm not going to get up there and slander anybody. I think the best
No,
thing I
for
can
sure.
do is live right. Let
Yeah.
me show that, and I'm not doing well, but I'd like to show the God in me,
Walk according to your purpose.
That's right. And it's tough.
And we fail every day, bro. I see you right now. Like I see you. I can look in this camera and I see you hurting. But just know that like Jesus died for yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And it doesn't mean to sin at will. That doesn't mean you're not going to have bad days. It just means that like Jesus was a man. He had bad days. He cried. You know what I mean? Like Jesus, it's my favorite Bible verse because it's the shortest. Was Jesus wept,
Right.
but he felt he had hard days. He brought Lazarus back from the dead. Like he endured an awful death, right? And he said, they did it unto me. What do you think they're going to do to you?
Here we are.
And this is a part of it. We are collateral damage from a weaponized government. We have had a hard time, but we with him, through his victory that he already won and he resides in us, we will get through these things. And
we have a particular opportunity, you and I, Shane, because everybody judges the past before this on both of us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, true or not true, that's what they do, Everybody likes to slander. But you know what? This is how you show that God changed us.
That's right.
Whether what they're saying is true or whether it's not, a lot of it's lies, I don't care. Because right now is our chance to shine for the Lord.
Yeah.
And I want to do better.
Well, the interesting part is like January 6th has given us a platform, right? It's given us what I like to say, like a megaphone, right? It's given us an opportunity because we're January 6ers people. They I have 14,000 followers on Twitter. Like I've never had anything like it's not a big deal.
Right.
It's not that many, but like people appreciate our candor. They appreciate us fighting for what's right. And it's like, so January 6th is this whole thing, but the overarching thing, right, is eternity. You said it earlier, eternity. If I get to stand on a stage and say, I'm Shane Jenkins, I'm kind of a big deal. I'm a January 6er. I broke a window with a tomahawk and assaulted 9 federal officers. And I got pardoned by the president. I got to go to the press briefing. Who gives a shit? The important thing is,
what are you doing with it?
Who resides in my heart? Like that is the main. Like Jesus, I appreciate and understand that Jesus came as God, a part of God, came to earth as a man, was born to a virgin, walked a sinless life, and died on the cross for me. And then not only that, rose and was resurrected and came back after 3 days, snatched the keys of hell from the devil. A lot of people don't know that. Jesus went to hell.
And they should know that.
They should know that. People don't know that. Just a general. I need to show hands. How many people know Jesus went to hell? He did. Maurice, I know he raised his hand probably too. But
for the whole world, like hell is intensely miserable for just our sins.
Yeah.
Compound that by everybody that's ever been alive. That's why he cried in the Garden of Gethsemane,
He set the sinners free, bro.
Separation from God is hell. literally.
But the overlapping. So, and I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast or not, but like I talk about one of my biggest stumbling blocks for my faith was when Jesus was on the cross. He said, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And I didn't understand, like, if Jesus is the Son of God and his Father abandoned him on the cross, like, why do I want something to do with a God like that? But I also didn't understand that Jesus was a rabbi. It was his privilege to say I guess it's the Proverbs or the Psalm. It was the Psalm. I believe it's the Psalm. And one of the Psalms that starts out is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And it's David that actually wrote the Psalm. And Jesus is repeating that. And that whole Psalm points to Jesus coming back. And this is how overlapping and overlaying all these the foretelling and of the coming of Christ and these things. And so when he says that, he also in that moment died, bore the weight of sin on his shoulders of the world, past, present, and future, was separated from God, but also quoted the Psalm that said, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Which also foretold of his coming, which talked about them. I believe they gambled for his clothing and all these other different things. It's just you can't make this stuff up.
It was fantastic. And like Jesus kind of pulled a low key sneak on the devil, because the devil, he did. The devil's always been looking for the son of Adam that was sinless, right? So that's where Cain killed Abel, you know? And so he was replaced by Seth. And like the 7th generation out from Seth was Enoch, who was translated. Okay. And the 7th generation was Melech out of Cain, who was the most evil man. He was had multiple wives. He killed a man for insulting him, you know? He was the epitome of evil. God had this plan from way back to begin with. And so the devil's waiting, and he thinks it's not going to happen. He thinks he's won, you know what I mean? And Jesus comes out like of the blue, won't say that he's Jesus, you know what I mean? Yeah. And dies for
who you say I am.
Absolutely. And so he left it for interpretation, but nobody believes him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He created everything in this world. The breath we're breathing right now, you know? Every good thing comes from God. And I don't like when people blame God for the bad things.
Yeah.
But the bad is what gives us the good.
That's right.
This is the contrast. The more suffering we put up with, the greater our reward in heaven. Like the old apostolics always say, is that no suffering is ever wasted.
That's right.
That's true, you know? I mean, we went through stuff, you know? What we need to do is we need
a little bit.
Not that bad. You know what I mean? There's people in third world countries that struggle to have a meal every day, you know?
That's right.
They watch their kids die in front of them, you know? We didn't have it that bad, you know? In the grand scheme of it, you know? And especially...
you weren't one of those. You weren't one of those people, and I'm not one of them either. That's like, oh, they were so mean to me, and they hurt my feelings, and they did this, and they took this from me, and they beat me and suffocate. Like, I'm not with that. Like, people get it. Like, it sucked. It wasn't the end of the world. Like, we have it relatively good. Like, even our worst day in our federal prison or prisons was not anything compared to, like you said, like starving children. Trying to figure out how you're going to feed your wife and kids, like going through those kinds of things. Like we went through some things. It sucked. We're hurting. We're suffering. I cry over it sometimes. Like I see the pain on your face. I see the pain on my face when I look in the mirror sometimes.
That's right.
But God is on the throne, bro. And you know it, and I know it, and Maurice knows it.
This is our opportunity. You know what I mean? God gave us what we wanted. People will listen to us. So this is our chance to shine. You know, we need to I struggle with understanding how to balance between walking in the world and complete righteousness and holy living.
Yeah.
Because like I'm either in or out, you know. Like, oh yeah, you said that.
I know big booty bitches are a problem. So
right. And so when I go into prison, right, they're like, hey, you guys you're locked up with us, right? And my attitude was always like, what do you mean? You're locked up with me.
I don't. Just Hold on just a second, Pete. Go ahead. Let Pete run a monologue real quick. I got to help these guys get in the hotel room. I'm on a podcast right now.
So anyhow, the point I was just saying is that like I tried to view it
right there.
I tried to view it as I'm not the victim.
That's right.
So when they say you're locked up with us, I'm like, you're locked up with me. That's got to be terrible. Who would want to be that? A few of my cellmates agree with that, you know. They're like, yeah, that's terrible. Sits on the bunk.
After that shit you did.
Little gassy, you know. I mean,
Speak for yourself, Pete. Let me call real quick. Just a second. I'm sorry.
How we doing on time?
We're looking good, dude. I think we're doing great. Actually, give me just a second, Pete. I'm gonna step away 5 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'm gonna tell a little story about. Yeah, I'm gonna tell a little story about
Okay.
afterwards and getting out of prison, because this is something that a lot of people don't even consider, you know. And I never considered it myself. All I wanted for all of those years in that penitentiary is for the doors to open. I did not care what happened after that. I thought that I was in heaven as soon as those doors open. You know what I mean? Like all good things come to you because all these people, they're enjoying life. You know, when we'd be on the prison bus, I'd see people like just trashy cars, but they're eating an ice cream cone. You know what I mean? That's a dream to me, you know, like I can't even imagine the freedom to just eat an ice cream cone when you want. Right. So I get out and it is that amazing initially, you know, but I'm not the same anymore. I'm not the same Pete that went into prison. I'm a little harder. I'm a little tougher, and I don't want to be that, you know, because so many people were good to me, and now I want to be good back to them.
Yeah.
But I'm standoffish. I can't necessarily treat people like they deserve to be treated. I feel like it's unfair to the people that were good to me. All right, you want to cut?
No, you're good. Y'all are good. I'm listening. I hear you, Pete.
Well, somebody knocked on the